Welcome, fellow film enthusiasts, to a brand new episode of The Director's Viewfinder. I'm your host, Derek Johnson, and I'm excited to take you on an extraordinary journey through the captivating world of filmmaking. As a seasoned filmmaker, producer, and director of photography, I worked on a wide range of projects, from indie gems to TV hits and a ton of commercials. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into the art and craft of filmmaking, pulling back the curtain on the magic that happens behind the camera. One of the lesser-known roles on a film set is the first assistant director. A lot of people don't realize this, but they are actually the one person who is in charge of the entire production. Everything from set safety to scheduling and making sure that the director and the director of photography are getting along and having the right amount of time for the talent to do what they need to do to make the magic happen. My friend Trina is a local first assistant director who I have worked with on many projects, and she also runs a film camp for kids called Rising Reels. If you ever get a chance to work on a set with Trina, you should feel lucky because she is the bomb. And today, I am here with my good friend, Trina Griffin.
Hey Derek, how's it going?
It's going great. So, how are you?
I'm well. I'm doing really good.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about today. I think we should. I know Trina through the film community here in Seattle, and we have worked on a whole bunch of really interesting projects, all different shapes and sizes. Let's see, what was the first one we worked on?
The first one was Hard Out. Yeah, that was fun. All of the stunt people in Washington got to have an opportunity to showcase their skills and their style under this film, which was amazing. And we set a couple of people on fire. We destroyed a bar. It was awesome. We choked a couple of people out.
Wasn't it like the biggest stunt scene ever filmed here?
The biggest, yeah, it was. And we even had the fire marshal involved in it. So it was the biggest stunt scene ever.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. I got a call to work on that as the sound person, which I'm not a sound person, but I do have some gear.
You were awesome.
So, but yeah, that was actually a really fun shoot. That was like an overnight shoot.
It was. Yeah. We turned night into day.
Mm-hmm. And well, I think we shot at night. That was the other project. We'll talk about that too.
Mm-hmm.
But and what was your job on that again?
My job was assistant director. Yeah, assistant director, but also I helped produce it as well.
Can you tell me what an assistant director does? Because there may be some people who don't know that.
So assistant directors are like the brain of the director. So all of the things, they work with the director. They don't work for the director. I think a lot of people get that mixed up. They help to organize and network and connect like actors and the different departments in film together. So the director doesn't have to worry about that. Director can stay with the creative part, where the assistant director does all the technical administration, networking, cat wrangling work.
And safety too, right?
And safety.
Yeah. Which is, I think there was one of our Facebook groups for film people locally. There was a discussion about do we really need assistant directors on our sets? And then, of course,
if you want your set to finish on time, you want your assistant director. If you want your director to just keep you there overnight and a couple of extra days, no assistant director, because I feel that we are timekeepers too. We are very direct about the time. We help the director stay on point with the time and make a decision. Do you want that next scene? Or is there something you could cut? Or is there something you could combine? We help to get them to start thinking about that because we are conscious of all players on the set, not just one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's so much value in keeping the schedule on track.
It's cost.
It's cost, and also taking on a role of doing some of the producing, which is a lot of what producing is watching the budget, and probably one of the more important jobs on a set is an assistant director, in my opinion.
And I feel like not all assistant directors are like this, but keeping morale up on set with the crew and the cast, because some people are like, no one's talking to us, how much longer is this going to be, when's lunch, when are we ever going to get out here on time? We keep the morale up by like encouraging them and reminding them. But not all assistant directors work like me, and I believe that in order to do a job well and you want to get people to come back, you got to remember that the project's not happening without the people.
Right. Exactly. So let's see. I would say more than anything, I've heard that the assistant director actually commands the set more than the director or anybody else. Would you say that's true?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I would say that is true. When I command the set too, though, I am respectful.
Right.
Sometimes the director is not ready for me to make that call. So I check with my director first and say, would you like me to do this? And they're like, yeah, would you please? So they can work over here with whatever they're working with.
Right. Do you remember when we were working on that short film with all the stunts, what was maybe one of the more challenging jobs of the schedule for that?
The challenging job of the schedule would have been...
Was it the schedule, or was it... What was...
It was getting late. People were getting tired. And I don't think people properly rested before they came to set. But everybody was very excited about doing it. But there was a point where energy levels started to drop. And when energy levels drop, you have to reshoot stuff. And that takes money and that takes time, and it changes the schedule because we're spending more time getting a shot than we anticipated. So that was one of the challenges. And then the crazy thing about it was that the main actor, was losing his energy because he was getting tired.
Right.
And so I had to pull the director, which was the main character, and the director of photography aside and say, the last stuff we've done is garbage. It does not look good and it doesn't sell. So you need to get out there and you need to give more energy. So as assistant director, I had to be the director for him because he can't see what he's doing. And he was like, just be honest with me. I'm like, it was garbage.
Yeah. So sometimes you have to lean in and support the director in creative ways as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. With love. Love. Love.
Yeah. It's the thing that makes things go around, especially on a film set. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So in terms of like a short film, most of the time it's really literally impossible to reshoot anything. Because a lot of times budgets are so tight for these smaller projects that it would just kill the project to have to reshoot something. So in this case, we had probably about 70 people on set.
When you do the math, 30 talent and then the crew. Yeah.
So trying to bring all those people together, and they were all getting paid at least a little bit. Again, it is just to even do it one time is a huge feat, but to have to reshoot something, I think you would have to change your story to compensate for what you didn't have.
And we did reshoot. Remember, we reshot that one scene where the fight scene, because we didn't have enough energy happening behind when they were challenging each other. So we had to shoot that scene and have more people come in the background behind the character, and then that fight scene part where it was just between the two main characters. So yeah, we had to reshoot, and we had to find it in the budget.
That's awesome. So let's see. What else have we done? We just worked on. Let's see. Well, we did what I think another notable project we worked on was called Chat. You were ADing for that too, right?
I was. I did, and COVID compliance as well.
Recording, right?
Are you out of runway?
Should be okay. Silence that shit though.
Edit. Edit.
All right. So let's see.
I was COVID compliance officer, and I was AD.
Oh,
and
right.
scripty.
Yeah. Oh, and scripty. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
And I did some BTS photos too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another thing about working on short films, and most of the time everyone has to wear several hats.
Yeah.
So like for that film, I was hired as the gaffer, but I was also basically assistant camera. I was, helping do a lot of the grip work. And even like, I wouldn't say that I was really directing, but I was definitely giving creative advice to some of the key players on set and trying to make this movie better. Which is one thing that's kind of cool about short films is you get a chance to flex in a few different areas.
You get a chance to really learn. And that's why you have to know everybody's role when you're doing short film stuff, because you can, one, respect them better, and two, if you see that they're shorthanded, you can step in and help to push the production along. If you are just standing there and that one person is struggling to set up light or whatever, it slows production down. Again, it's a time factor. We're burning time watching somebody set up all by themselves when they need some help. If you know how to do it and you can step in, it saves time.
Right. Yeah, which is huge. So, and that certainly is something that all of the films that I've worked on, one of the key things you said was about learning how to make movies. And it's no mystery that doing it by working on short films is really a great way to do it. I think I have worked on so many different roles on set, so it's easy for me to come in and lend a hand in all those different departments.
Agreed. It is. I remember when I first started, I think I was doing music videos in California, and I had never had my experience with 16 millimeter film, real film. And the person I was assisting showed me how she has to load it by feel and touch onto the reel to reel in order to get it to film. So I learned, but I helped her by doing light. We were just doing the light and creating the mood inside the space. And then the guy was like, "Can you load this camera?" And she was like, "I can load this camera." So she showed me how to do it and help her while she had to load the camera in a dark box by touch.
Cool. Okay, so we were just talking about how great short films are to basically learn the craft of filmmaking. And one of the other things about filmmaking that is interesting is like there's so many great kinds of jobs on a film set or in the world of film, that how do you know which film job is your job? Like, how do you find your way? Because you might find, like, I thought, well, I want to be a cinematographer. Okay, well, I am a cinematographer, but not all the time. I'm actually doing more producing than anything. And I like producing, but I still like shooting. So I'm shooting, or at least shooting some of my projects. And then, um, so what has happened basically is the industry will help guide you into what you're really good at. And I really believe that that is true. And working on short films begins that process.
It does, because you get the exposure, and you find what you're strong at. I mean, like,
Do you remember, like, when you started out, what was your thought? Like, what job was like, oh, I'm going to do this on a film set?
When I started out, I was total PA. And then I thought, well, I could be grip. And then I was like, I hate carrying this stuff. It's heavy. It's heavier than what I have capacity for. And then I was like, I really would like to know. But being on set helped me figure out, I really would like to know the beginning of this. Where does it all begin? Who makes that decision? But that's an interest of mine. And they were like, well, do you want to get behind the camera? And I looked at the camera and I was like, there's too many buttons. I don't like all that. Mm-hmm. I don't want to screw anything up. And then it was like, I could do the sound. I love sound. I'm very sensitive about sound, but I still was like, organize it. How does it move? How come we're still doing this when we should move on? I think we're spending too much time here. And I just kind of found out that there's a person who does this. They're called an assistant director, and they help keep time, and they help keep up with the beginning, and they help set that tone. And I was like, that's what I want to do. That's me. Mm-hmm. That's who I am. I'm a thinker. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And so what advice would you have for people going into filmmaking, or have an interest in something in that world?
I would say the very same advice I give my students is, don't cut yourself short. Don't think that you know it all. Keep your mind open. Experience every department, as until you find the one you like. And then when you find the one you like, master. Keep learning. Get better. You will never know it all. So keep your mind open. Don't stop creating. Mm-hmm. Once you get in there, don't stop creating.
Right, which is great. Great advice. I think a true master knows probably that they will never know it all.
Never know it all.
Yeah. Once you begin to understand that, you just really can excel.
Yeah,
it's like you get your wings.
Yeah, my editing teacher, he said, once you feel like, I've arrived, there's nothing else for you in this industry to get out of it. When you start to say, I've arrived, you need to leave.
Right. Cool. Well, thank you, Trina.
Thank you, Derek, for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, and you're also doing a workshop coming up this summer.
Yeah.
So tell me, it's called Rising Reels, right?
Rising Reels, and we teach BIPOC children and low-income kids who want to learn about filmmaking from beginning to end. We teach them the steps in the process, and we also continue that relationship with them by exposing them to what's happening in the community with other production companies or a project I'm working on. So they're continually creating.
So probably later in the spring we'll be organized. I think I'll be jumping in to help be one of the key educators on a project that we're working on today.
Your seat has been reserved, sir. Do not say no.
Well, I look forward to it.
Me too.
Okay, cool. You did it. Once again, you made it to the end of the podcast. I'm so glad you're here. It's been really great having you listening to us, and I wanted to offer one thing to you. I would love to invite you to an upcoming screening of Seward, which we will be doing in Seattle, as well as another film that was shot in the same building for Vanishing Seattle. So we are going to have a wonderful screening event, and all you have to do is sign up to my email list, and you will get an invite. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you next week on the Director's Viewfinder.